You have 30 minutes to get off my property, or I call the police. The wind howled through the street like it had teeth. Snow wasn't just falling, it was cutting through the air. And on that freezing sidewalk, a mother sat hunched over, trying to wrap her coat around two children who were already shivering too hard to speak. Their breath came out in short, panicked clouds. Their hands were red, their lips turning blue. Every single thing they owned was crammed into torn suitcases and plastic bags, half buried in snow. And the man responsible? He stood just a few feet away, inside his warm, glowing doorway, watching, waiting, like this was nothing, like they were nothing. Music slowly fades in. Hey everyone, I'm Faith, and today I want to tell you the story of a man who wasn't supposed to stop, but did. A man who saw something that most people would drive past and chose not to, because on that brutal winter night in Denver, Colorado, a Navy SEAL and his K-9 didn't just change a situation, they changed a life. Marcus Kane had spent over a decade in places most people couldn't point to on a map. War zones, hostile territory, moments where hesitation meant death. He had learned one rule above all else: when something feels wrong, it usually is. That night he was just trying to get home. The heater in his truck hummed quietly. Street lights blurred past his windshield. And beside him, his German shepherd, Rex, sat alert as always, watching the world like it was his job. Because it used to be. They had served together. They had survived together. And even now they noticed things together. That's when Rex's ears snapped forward. A low, uneasy whine escaped his throat. Marcus slowed the truck. Easy. But then he saw it too. A shape on the side of the road. Then another. Then movement. He pulled over. At first it didn't make sense. No one should be outside in this kind of cold. Not like this. Not with kids. But as Marcus stepped out, the wind hit him like a wall. And the scene came into focus. A woman. Mid-30s maybe. Her name, he would later learn, was Elena Cruz. She was trying to shield her two children with her own body, but she was shaking just as badly. Behind her, a large house, lights on, fireplace glowing, and in the doorway, a man, watching everything. "You need to leave," the man called out, irritated. "This isn't your concern." Marcus didn't respond. He just kept walking. Rex stayed close, silent but focused. The man straightened. "I said, leave." "They've been told already. They're trespassing." That word hung in the air. Trespassing. Marcus finally spoke. "They live here." The man scoffed. "Not anymore." Elena looked up, her voice barely holding together. He changed the locks. "My kids, we have nowhere to go." One of the children started crying softly. Not loud, not dramatic. Just exhausted. Marcus's jaw tightened. "What's your name?" he asked calmly. The man hesitated. "Gregory Hale." Of course it was. Expensive coat. Perfect house. No patience. No empathy. "You gave them notice?" Marcus asked. "I gave them enough," Gregory snapped. "I own this property. I decide what happens on it. And the kids," Marcus said quietly. Gregory shrugged. "Not my problem." That's when something shifted. Not loud, not explosive, just final. Marcus stepped a little closer. Not aggressive, but unmovable. "I'm not leaving," he said. Gregory laughed. Actually laughed. Then he looked at Marcus again. Really looked this time. At the posture. The stillness. The eyes. Then he noticed Rex, standing perfectly calm, but locked in. And Gregory's smile faded. "You think I'm joking?" Gregory said. Marcus didn't answer. He pulled out his phone. Made one call. Short. Direct. "I need a spot. Tonight." Pause. "Family of 3." Another pause. "I'll handle transport." He hung up. Elena looked confused. What's happening?" Marcus turned to her. "You're getting out of the cold." That was it. No speech. No promises. Just certainty. Within minutes, things started moving. Marcus grabbed the bags, loaded them into his truck. Rex stayed close to the children, calm, grounding. One of them reached out, touched his fur, and for the first time stopped shaking. Gregory stepped forward. "You can't just take them. This is my property." Marcus turned, and that was enough. No words, no threats, just presence. Gregory stepped back. Music builds slightly. The drive took 18 minutes. But for Elena, it felt like a lifetime. She kept looking back, like this might disappear, like it wasn't real. They pulled up to a small building. Nothing fancy, but warm. Lights on. Door open. Waiting. Waiting. Marcus's friend Daniel stood outside, another veteran. Another man who didn't look away. Inside heat. Food. Blankets. Safety. The kids didn't speak. They just held on to each other and finally relaxed. Elena broke down. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quiet tears she had been holding in for too long. Marcus didn't interrupt. Didn't try to fix it. He just stood there, making sure it was real. But the story didn't end there, because what Gregory Hale didn't expect was that someone like Marcus doesn't stop halfway. The next morning, calls were made. Legal aid stepped in. Documents were reviewed. And what they found was worse than anyone thought. Illegal eviction, no notice, no process, no rights respected. And Gregory, he didn't laugh this time. Weeks passed, then months, and everything changed. Elena got a job through the same network. Stable, consistent. A small apartment followed, then something bigger, something permanent. The kids, back in school, smiling again, sleeping through the night. And Marcus, he checked in. Not often, not loudly, just enough. One afternoon, months later, there was a knock on Elena's door. She opened it, and there he was, Rex beside him, same as that night. The kids ran to the door, laughing, excited, alive in a way they hadn't been before. Elena looked at Marcus. "You didn't have to stop that night." Marcus shrugged slightly. "Yeah," he said, "I did. Because sometimes it's not about obligation. It's not about rules. It's not about convenience. It's about a moment, a choice, a single decision to not look away." Music softens. So here's the question. If you saw something like that, would you stop or would you keep driving? If this story meant something to you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done?